I'm not doing a lot to truly help anyone in their health journey. I would treat them, use all of, my smartest tools in my toolbox, right? And all of my energy and heart and soul and love and fix them. And they come right back a month later with the exact same thing. I'm not making a difference in anybody's life. How can I do this with my training and still help people and get that impact that really lights me up? I want to feel like I'm truly helping people in this world.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest is a dear friend and client of mine. She is Dr. Cindy Starke, an internal medicine physician who over 30 years of practicing has evolved into a fabulous healer. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you so much for having me here, Nikki. It's such an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. It is fabulous to have you here. So, Cindy, the folks who listen to the Thought Leader Revolution, these are the seekers. They're the misfits, the crazy ones, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who aren't fond of rules and are looking to shift and change the world. They want to learn from you because these are the people with the growth mindsets. But before they can open themselves up to you, they need to get to know you. How'd you get to be the great Dr. Cindy Starke?
Well, I like to take it back to what actually led me down that path. So let's go back to Cindy when she was 14 years old. And I always say, I don't think anyone else in the world came into medicine the way I came into medicine. Most of the people I met along the way, they all had moms and dads that were doctors. But we were from a family of blue collar workers, hairdressers and electricians. And through an unfortunate series of events, when I was 14, my brother had been struggling with some drugs and alcohol. And so all of his friends that were 19, also just a lot of drugs and alcohol around my house. And I came into medicine as a way to escape a childhood where bad things ended up happening to me at night when my brother had his friends over. And I always say I don't want to go into a lot of details, but I was sexually abused by my brother's friends. And all I could see around me, Nikki, were like this repeating this pattern in my, like a generational traumatic pattern of drugs, alcohol, sexual abuse, blue collar jobs. And I said, let me get the crap out of this place. Let me go the one place where I don't see anyone in my family is gone, and that's down the field of education. And so I became the first person to go to college, and then it just kept going on and on and on. I just kept saying, I love this and I want to get further and further away. So then I went to medical school, then I went to graduate school. And that's what led me to be a doctor. Is just escaping my childhood, actually.
Wow. Escaping your childhood led you to be a doctor. So you became a doctor. What had you go on this quest to seek out how to become a great healer and how to do more than just treat patients in the old medical paradigm?
Yeah. So it took a while for me to really get the realization that I'm not doing a lot to truly help anyone in their health journey. How I see it is that I was getting them out of the emergency room. I was helping them breathe a little better. I'd get their fever down. And then I would treat them, use all of, my smartest tools in my toolbox, right? And all of my energy and heart and soul and love and fix them. And I would discharge them and they'd come right back a month later with the exact same thing. And, it took about 10 years of doing this where I'm like, this is just, I'm not making a difference in anybody's life. And the guy I was married to at the time said, oh, you can't quit. And I said, I can't do medicine anymore. I'm not making an impact in anyone's life. I dedicated 30 years of my life to training myself up, and I'm not, these people aren't getting any better. And they just go right back out and do the things they always do. And he said, you can't not be a doctor. He said, you're the top 5% income earners of the world. And I'm like, I don't care. That's not what matters to me is the income I make. It's the impact that I make. And we just weren't seeing eye to eye at all, Nikki, and we really butted heads for about 10 years over this. And the pandemic brought about an entire ability for me to stand up for myself. And I realized what had to happen. Again, really, unfortunately, I never wanted this in my life, but I had to leave him to be able to pursue my calling, because he was just like very adversarial to me 24/7. And once I got away from my kid's dad, I really was able to dig deep, and I healed from my own childhood traumas. And I was able to forgive myself for everything that had happened to me from age 14 to like 46. And in those deep, dark moments, and it took a lot of soul searching. This was just in the pandemic. So this just happened 4 years ago. But I said, I've really, really uncovered the keys to the kingdom. And I think a lot of people are holding themselves back because of societal expectations or lack of forgiveness. And so then that is when I took another year-long course to be able to do what I had just undertaken in my healing work. And I got certified to do it for other people. So that's how that all happened. It was very circuitous, and I felt like divine led, because I don't think I ever would have gone down that path without that specific, this chain of events occurring.
Wow. Pretty profound personal story.
Yeah.
That you have. So Cindy, what are some of the key pain points that you've discovered the people that you're helping have? And do you have any stories to illustrate those pain points for us?
Yeah, the ones that I help now that I feel like I'm a true healer.
Yes.
Yeah. The one that I think is the most profound is one of my clients, Jenny, who was in also an abusive marriage, verbally abusive, not physically abusive. And she had gone through menopause, and she had been an alcoholic almost her whole life, adult life. And she, through realizing that she didn't love and accept herself for how she was, she just kept masking this version of her that society didn't seem to really accept, masking it with alcohol. And through going through my program, she was able to actually love herself for who she was. She stopped drinking. She left her husband. She moved across the whole entire country from Oregon to Florida to be at her mother's bedside while she was passing away of dementia. And just to see her blossom into who she used to be before the alcohol and the blurring of her true identity started happening when she was probably about 19 or 20. That's one of the pain points, is I just think women, especially in this world, maybe men too, most of my clients are women, they're not accepted for who they are. And so they do something to try to gain acceptance. I kept educating myself. She kept drinking alcohol. And you just kind of wake up one day in your 40s and you realize you don't even know the person in the mirror.
So what was the impact on her of drinking every day?
I mean, she estranged her first child, and when she went through this program and stopped drinking, she rekindled her relationship with her 30-year-old child, which was huge to watch. And she also had a really struggling type of a relationship with both her father and her stepfather too. And it just seemed as when she was able to kind of blossom into who she always was, she was able to stand up to those two men as well and kind of let them see where she was coming from and just kind of have a still not a great relationship with the two dads, but definitely they understood each other more eye to eye. And just even the impact of being able to work where she wanted to work. She just wasn't even doing really what lit her up inside. She was able to start dancing again. I saw her start volunteering at the zoo. She's an artist and a mystic at heart. And she just had kind of stuffed all that away and just did the one thing you could as an alcoholic, which was be a bartender and work at restaurants. And so she doesn't do that anymore either. So just watching her come alive.
Coolio. Okay, great. So what are some of the other key pain points that you've gone through yourself or seen your clients go through?
I think that, again, for me, I feel like just admitting the truth that medicine wasn't satisfying me anymore. I just think sometimes that people kind of, you kind of go down this path when for me, it was pretty young, the path of medicine started at 17, and society loves that shit, like they eat it up and they just, praise you and the accolades and they brag about you. And to be able to say at 46, I don't like this and I'm not doing it anymore full time. And just the backlash that you think is going to happen, Nikki, and it actually doesn't happen. People are actually really freaking proud of you that you're able to do what you actually want to do. And, when I go to the hospital now, I work about 4 days a month because I truly love working a little bit. I just didn't want to do it 14 hours a day, 5 to 6 to 7 days a week there. So when I go there now, some of the first things that happen almost every day when I walk through the door is a couple of doctors will pull me to the side and say, "How did you get out? Like, how did you leave? What did you do about malpractice? What did you do about your shareholder thing? What did you do about this? Can you teach me how you got out?" Because they kind of have pigeonholed themselves into this box and the proverbial golden handcuffs. I mean, that is so real, especially in medicine, because everybody's making six figures. Everybody thinks they're kind of tied to this mothership and they can't get out. And it's a really sad kind of a pain when you've spent from age 5 to 33 finally getting this degree and these credentials and this board certification to do this one certain job. And then you kind of look up 10 or 20 or 30 years later and you don't like it anymore. It's a really specific kind of sadness that when you can't get out, you feel like you can't get out of it.
So, Cindy, what has had you be able to get out of it? And what have you been able to show other people? Do you have any other stories that specifically illustrate this point?
What I had to do is get really clear on what I wanted. Like what I had to really clearly define what success was for me. And success for me, it was at that time, it wasn't given 14 hours of your day over to this geographical building. I was on this, I call it a 30-minute leash. You literally, you sign these clauses, Nikki, when you start these jobs, and you can't be within 30 minutes. You can't be further than 30 minutes. It's like they have you on a leash from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. You got to be able to get back to that hospital, right? And so between that, and then also you sign this clause when you're a physician called a no compete clause, and you can't work for a whole year after you quit. If you ever quit, you can't work anywhere within a 25-mile radius. So this is like a huge radius. Here in Atlanta, it's like almost an hour and a half I had to drive to go to work. And so that trapped feeling was what was bothering me the most. Okay. And so success, I had to define for myself, what is success? Because I didn't mind being a physician. I just didn't want those two things. It was making me feel so claustrophobic and just like a rat in a cage. Like literally, it was just, I literally am getting palpitations just remembering it right now, talking about it, because I haven't thought about it in a while. And so I had to realize the one thing that was holding me back, unfortunately, was my husband. And then the other thing holding me back was this kind of like programming that I had to keep doing it because my gosh, you're making $140,000 a year. Isn't that the best thing in the world? I mean, this is like this programming that was just drilled into our heads. This is like the epitome of what you wanted to do. And so I had to get really clear with my definition of success, and what my definition was. I love being around friends and family. I love feeling connection to people, and I love being outdoors. And so I had to just really put it all out on a sheet of paper. How can I do this with my training and still help people and get that impact that really lights me up? I want to feel like I'm truly helping people in this world. And so I just started brainstorming. I had a lot of really close friends that were the coaches, and it's when I met everybody in Clients on Demand, and they kind of breathed into me this belief that I could have something else that I could offer the world. And so it was just a lot of untraining, Nikki. It's kind of a hard question to answer, but it took years. It took from 2018 to almost 2022 when I finally retired. So it took 4 years to get the courage to do it all. It was a very slow process, little by little.
Amen. Amen. So Cindy, right now, what is it that you actually do to serve people?
Right now, well, I do a lot of things in my life right now. I'm a medical director of a hospice. So I get to take care and help people die more dignified deaths all across my beautiful city here. I'm also a medical director of a home health company. So I get to help people that are, convalescing in their home setting. A couple days a month, I will go back to the hospital as much as my soul and heart and spirit can handle it, because I do love serving the community in that way. But what really lights me up is running Soul Circle Academy, where I help people find what's really true in their soul and in their heart and what lights them up. And I hold I call them primitive luxury retreats, where I take women deep into the woods and I cook over an open fire for them. And we do meditations by a creek and yoga. And we do all kinds of just rituals together, just depends on what setting I've taken them to, whether it's a campfire or whether it's really long hikes. And I just help women kind of get in touch with who they are so they can start loving themselves, so they can start seeing that path out for whatever it is that might not be going right in their life, whether it's relationships or whether it's a job or whether it's, just the second half of their life after becoming an empty nester. And I help them kind of light their own path for their preferred future.
Beautiful. And if someone wants to get on your calendar and have a chat about this, what's the best way?
DrCindyStarke.com/let's talk.
I love that.
Kind of easy.
Let's talk. DrCindyStarke.com/let's talk. I'm going to write that down. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. So we like to end off each episode by asking you, as our guest expert, what are your top 3, what we call expert action steps? These are your 3 best pieces of advice to help my listener take her life, his life to the next level. What say you?
Okay. I need to think about that for a second. So first of all, I say get really honest. Spend some time alone and get honest with yourself as what it is that you want. Because there are so many things competing for our attention these days, whether it's our cell phones, whether it's our spouses, their kids, parents, whatever. So just get really honest and just feel. Like I say, take your shoes off, get a towel if you need to, go sit in the yard somewhere with some sun on you, preferably a tree behind you, and just get quiet and get honest. Number 2, journal about what it is that you want in your life, and just let anything out. Just kind of do a brain dump and let anything come out that you might want to do. Don't put any filters on it. And then number 3 is kind of, I'd say, turn inward. It might seem the same as being honest with yourself, but if you turn inward and you really listen to, there's infinite wisdom in your soul and your spirit. And if you kind of start emitting that signal, Nikki, that you want help and figuring out how to get where you want to go, the universe will start, bringing you the people that are supposed to be to you. It's the same people that are listening to your podcast, right? Like the round pegs and the square holes. If you really start turning inward and tapping into that inner wisdom, the people that are supposed to help you on your path will come. And it might seem like a really crazy circuitous route, but you'll get to where you're going.
I like all 3 of them, but the last one really resonated with me. The people that are supposed to help you on your path will come. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And you got to trust it. Like, you can't question it. You got to know they're coming. That's how I found you.
Amen, sister. Amen. Dr. Cindy Starke, you are a joy and a delight. Your energy is vibrant. It's powerful. And it's an honor to be a part of your journey to help you attract more people to you. You've been one of the best students we've ever had and get booked and get paid, because you just ran at it and you've set up so many podcasts. And as a result, you've set up so many breakthrough calls, and you have an opportunity to set up a whole lot more. I'm clear you're going to start enrolling some people. Yeah. We're just going to be with you, and you're going to record some of those calls so we can really listen in on you and fine tune those conversations and make sure they get there. So make sure you do that. But it's amazing to see somebody that is ready to do the work. So God bless you, Cindy. Thanks for coming into my world and into my life, and thanks for being this dynamo of energy and fire. I love it.
Yeah, I was going to tell you one thing. It's called a funnel for a reason. It's supposed to be bigger at the top and smaller at the bottom. And I just said to myself, if I can pack that full to the gills, like, something's going to come out the other end.
Something's going to drop. My favorite American president of my lifetime was Ronald Reagan, and he was relentlessly optimistic and positive. And he would tell these stories of optimism, and he talked about how there was a set of parents who had a son that was a favorite and one that wasn't, and the son that was a favorite for Christmas got all these amazing gifts, and and he was still grumpy and upset. Oh my God, I didn't get the bicycle I wanted, blah, blah, blah. And the parents like that. The other son basically saw a pile of manure, his Christmas gift, because they wanted him to spread it in the field to work, right? And he got all excited. He started digging there. He says, why are you digging? He said, with all that manure, there's got to be a pony somewhere in there.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never heard that story.
Yeah, it's a Ronald Reagan original story, and I just loved it.
That is great. It's true, too. I think you can make some lemonade out of almost every lemon. Even something that's really terrible, Nikki, I was just talking to my mom about this morning. She's 78, and she's at her winter house in Florida for 3 weeks, and she's missing me. So I call her every morning and we talk for an hour. And I was talking to her today, and I said, we were talking about my divorce, and she was upset for me that I had to go through that. And I said, you know what, unless I would have gone through that, I would have never been gifted the amount of contrast that the rest of my life can have, because now everything is so great compared to that. So even in the worst thing, you can find a way to make it be your contrast. And so now everything's awesome because of that bad, And so it's just, I feel like I'm like that too. I can find a horse in a pile of manure.
There you go. It's got to be a pony in there somewhere. I love it. All right. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about today's incredible guest, the one and only Dr. Cindy Starke, Go to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or wherever you happen to listen to this episode, be it iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Audible, Rumble, or what have you. Until next time, bye-bye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.